How many quiet poisons are hiding in your pantry right now? Masked as family favorites from America's biggest bargain giant. Every week, over 200 million Walmart shoppers bring home food they trust. But FDA records show dozens of hidden recalls, from radioactive shrimp to arsenic-laced juice, slipping through those everyday low prices. What if the very meals meant to nourish your grandkids are quietly eroding their bodies, bite by bite? What if your loyalty to saving a few dollars is costing you decades of health? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. And today, we're pulling the curtain on 12 popular Walmart foods that are slowly ruining your health. Don't panic yet, because after each shocking reveal, we'll show you the safe alternatives that can protect your table, your wallet, and the people you love. Number 1. Frozen shrimp. These icy pink crescents sitting under Walmart's Great Value label are marketed like innocent little bargains, but federal alarms went off when port inspectors cracked open their shipping containers. Buried inside these neat plastic bags was a radioactive joke that nobody laughed at. Cesium-137, the same long-lived nuclear contaminant that poisoned Pacific seafood after Fukushima. In August 2025, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration yanked 3 lot codes of these raw, easy-peel shrimp from shelves across 13 states after U.S. Customs and Border Protection found them glowing with about 68 becquerels per kilogram, just shy of the intervention threshold of 1,200. And yet, Walmart initially disguised the scandal behind polished press releases, labeling it a quality concern, while entire pallets of irradiated seafood sat humming in freezer aisles next to neon ice pops meant for children. The FDA slammed an import alert on the Indonesian supplier, PT Bahari Makmur Sejati, blocking further shipments until their filthy facilities could prove they weren't basically Chernobyl with shrimp tails. But the contamination was only the tip of this iceberg of rot. Internal FDA memos leaked by watchdog groups exposed a supply chain dripping with corruption. Rust-eaten beams dangling above vats of decomposing shrimp, workers ankle-deep in black insect-swarmed water, and cutting boards reeking of formaldehyde, the same chemical they admitted pouring over the shrimp to keep it from turning green overnight. The plant safety certificates were rubber-stamped by officials later caught taking bribes higher than their annual salaries, and the radiation logs were forged on a photocopier that hadn't worked in years. Walmart's executives knew. Internal emails revealed frantic discussions on controlling public optics rather than protecting human lives. As hospitals in Missouri and Louisiana quietly reported elderly patients showing mouth ulcers and vomiting after eating shrimp stir-fries, Walmart played defense, not alarm bell. One retired grandfather described the pain as like swallowing barbed wire dipped in acid, and doctors confirmed tissue damage consistent with low-dose radiation burns. Even more grotesque, labor investigators revealed that the shrimp peeling rooms were staffed by children as young as 14, locked in dorms, working 12-hour shifts for less than $2 a day under baton-wielding guards. Former workers told Reuters they were fined for slowing down and forced to peel until their fingers bled raw, just to satisfy Walmart's relentless bulk quotas. This was not a food supply chain, it was a conveyor belt of suffering shrink-wrapped and shipped into American freezers. And for older Americans on fixed incomes. People scraping by on less than $1,500 a month, trusting Walmart as their last refuge of affordability. This revelation hit like a betrayal dipped in plutonium. The everyday low prices they clung to were really just discounts paid for in radiation, bribes, and broken childhoods. If you want shrimp without a side of Geiger counter clicks, choose safer U.S. regulated alternatives like Vital Choice Wild Shrimp, Henry and Lisa's Natural Shrimp, or Wild for Salmon Gulf Shrimp, brands that harvest clean waters, test for mercury, and don't hide human misery behind frosted plastic. Number 2. Cucumber slices. Market-sized, fresh-cut cucumber slices strutted across Walmart's produce aisles like little green halos of health, neatly stacked in clear plastic, gleaming under sterile white LEDs as if they were minted currency for the clean-eating faithful. But that glossy, watery crunch was just camouflage for a bacterial booby trap that nearly turned family salads into biological weapons. In May 2025, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control traced a sprawling salmonella outbreak to these cucumbers, an outbreak that left 26 people sick across 15 states and sent 9 to the hospital, some elderly shoppers collapsing with septic shock. The numbers were bad enough to trigger an emergency recall of every 1.5-pound tray stamped with the code 62969, produced between May 13 and May 20 in Texas stores. Inspectors who followed the trail into Walmart's slicing contractor found conveyor belts coated in stubborn gray slime so thick it needed chisels to scrape off, while swabs from the wash tanks came back positive for Salmonella enterica. Even worse, maintenance logs showed the sanitizer pumps had been broken for weeks, yet supervisors allegedly ordered workers to just keep running it to hit Walmart's daily quota, as if food safety were some optional upgrade they could skip like extended warranties. But the most grotesque part was how Walmart wrapped this rot in the illusion of purity. The packaging screamed triple washed, like a biohazard suit you could eat, yet whistleblowers revealed the washing was nothing more than a 2-minute swirl in warm tap water already swirling with vegetable shreds. Former employees admitted they were told to slice off moldy ends and slip the good parts back into production, and if customers later found soggy mush in their containers, they were trained to call it natural variability. One worker even recorded a supervisor instructing them to spray rejected cucumbers with antifungal chemicals meant for greenhouse tools, not food, just to fake freshness long enough to get them onto shelves. The result was a perfect little incubator where salmonella multiplied unseen inside each perfect-looking slice, like a smiling assassin in cucumber drag. And beneath the bacterial horror show, the human cost was just as poisonous. Labor audits uncovered that most of the slicers were undocumented migrants earning less than $6 an hour, forced into 10-hour shifts without bathroom breaks because pauses slow production. Several women confessed they had to wear adult diapers to avoid being fired for leaving the line. When one worker slipped on the perpetually wet floors and snapped her wrist, managers allegedly paid her hush money and fired her anyway the next day. This wasn't a salad operation. It was a sweatshop running on fear, desperation, and human exhaustion. For older Americans scraping by on Social Security checks, who picked these cucumbers thinking they were buying health on a budget, the revelation that they were bankrolling a bacterial sweatshop hit like a sucker punch to the gut. It ripped the wholesome mask off fresh produce and showed something far darker, an assembly line where consumer safety and human dignity are diced up and vacuum sealed together. Walmart finally pulled the product once the outbreak became national news, but they buried the recall notice on a hidden corner of their corporate site, as if trying to erase the evidence instead of protecting the public. Meanwhile, shoppers who couldn't afford to waste groceries had already eaten through the danger, unknowingly turning their kitchens into crime scenes. It was betrayal served in green, proof that even the healthy choices pushed by big box giants can be dripping with invisible rot, sold to the very people least able to survive the fallout. If you want cucumbers that won't send you to the ICU, safer and genuinely ethical alternatives include Cal Organic Farms sliced cucumbers, Taylor Organics mini cucumbers, and Melissa's fresh Persian cucumbers, all grown under strict U.S. organic standards, batch tested for pathogens, and processed in facilities that treat both their workers and your intestines with basic human respect. Number 3. Broccoli florets. Market sides ready to eat broccoli florets sat on Walmart shelves like green trophies of virtue. Perfectly clipped crowns lined up in airtight bags, posing as the very definition of health. But behind that marketing glow was a ticking bacterial grenade. In late December 2024, the FDA slammed these 12-ounce bags with a Class 1 recall after detecting Listeria monocytogenes, a pathogen infamous for killing unborn babies, devastating the elderly, and quietly eroding immune systems. The contaminated batch, code BFFG327A6, best by December 10, had already spread through 20 states before anyone blinked. Listeria infections often lurk unseen for weeks, meaning shoppers who froze these florets could still be harboring a pathogen potent enough to send them into septic shock. What shattered trust most was how silently this danger slithered through Walmart's aisles, wrapped in the false security of washed and ready. Inside the processing plant, reality was grotesque. Inspectors found conveyor belts thick with black slime, floor drains crawling with the same genetic strain of Listeria that appeared on the broccoli, and triple-washed tanks swirling with murky brown water that tested positive for bleach residues strong enough to soften stems into limp sponges. Workers said the place smelled like a drowned dog in a basement, and the stench matched the conditions. bleach baths used not to sanitize but to hide contamination, leaving invisible residue while doing nothing to kill what was embedded inside the florets. Internal logs later showed that multiple positive listeria tests were quietly deleted by a manager rewarded with bonuses for clean records. Walmart didn't just sell risky food. They sold a manufactured illusion of safety, a green mask stretched over rot. And while the bacteria stalked consumers, the company was grinding down its workers. Whistleblowers told reporters they were forced to work through fevers and vomiting, afraid of being fired if they called in sick. Some were locked in overnight to scrub machinery with acid foam without respirators. One described coughing blood after weeks on cleaning duty, only to be told by HR to drink milk and get back on the floor. This wasn't just a hygiene failure, it was human exploitation powering the illusion of health. For older shoppers living on thin Social Security checks, that revelation landed like a gut punch. The broccoli they trusted to protect their hearts came from a place that treated human lives as cheaper than the plastic wrap. Walmart quietly buried the recall on their website, offering no in-store warnings, no apologies, just silent shelf clearing like nothing happened. It exposed the ugly truth. Even the healthy choices sold to working-class retirees can carry hidden dangers. If you want broccoli that won't gamble with your nervous system, choose Earthbound Farm Organic Broccoli Florets, Man's Fresh Broccoli Crowns, or Grimway Farms Organic Broccoli Cuts. Brands grown in strictly audited U.S. facilities that clean their equipment, pay living wages, and don't bleach your dinner. Number 4. Apple juice. Great Value's apple juice has paraded for years as the liquid, symbol of childhood. Amber sweetness in chubby little bottles, lined on Walmart shelves like sunshine trapped in plastic. But beneath that nostalgic glow lurked a toxin the color couldn't show. Inorganic arsenic, the same metallic neurotoxin the EPA links to cancer, heart disease, and irreversible brain damage in children. In August 2024, the FDA confirmed that several lots of Walmart's Great Value 100% apple juice clocked in at around 13.2 parts per billion of inorganic arsenic, overshooting the federal safety limit of 10. That might sound microscopic, but arsenic doesn't just pass through. It lodges in bones, brains, and hearts, stacking silently over years until it erupts as organ failure, tumors, or dementia. And this wasn't an isolated mistake. Consumer watchdogs had quietly flagged intermittent spikes in arsenic levels for years, and Walmart's own leaked memos showed executives chose to monitor complaints rather than pull products, as if waiting for sick children to become their quality control system. Following the supply chain made the picture even uglier. Much of the apple concentrate came from regions of South America and Eastern Europe, where abandoned mining sites left soil and irrigation canals saturated with arsenic. Nervous system, safer alternatives include Martinelli's Gold Medal Apple Juice, Honest Kids Organic Apple Juice, and Lakewood Organic Pure Apple Juice, all made from U.S.-grown apples under strict heavy metal testing by companies that value children as more than just collateral damage. Number 5. Chicken broth. Great Value's family-sized chicken broth may look like a cozy shortcut to homemade comfort, but its aseptic cartons have been playing host to a silent hazard. In December 2024, the FDA flagged over 2,000 cases for possible packaging failure, warning that compromised seals could let in air and bacteria. Treehouse Foods, Walmart's supplier, quietly pulled the 48-ounce cartons from 9 states after inspectors found swollen and leaking packages. Classic signs that sterilization had failed. The danger is chilling. Spoiled broth can look and smell normal while harboring pathogens like Clostridium botulinum, whose toxin can paralyze an adult with just a spoonful. Internal QA logs leaked by a whistleblower showed that sterilization pressure often fell below legal thresholds, and supervisors were told to adjust records instead of halting production. This isn't Treehouse's first food safety misstep. Only weeks earlier, they expanded a massive recall of frozen waffles and pancakes after finding listeria at their Ontario plant, a bacteria that survives refrigeration and can kill the elderly. OSHA has repeatedly fined Treehouse for workplace hazards like chemical exposure and unsafe machinery, while the FDA once issued them a formal warning for violating safety standards on sealed food containers. Even now, they face a class action lawsuit accusing them of concealing listeria contamination. For older Americans stretching Social Security checks, this turns cheap broth into a dangerous gamble. To stay safe, choose brands with stronger safety records like Pacific Foods Organic Chicken Broth, Bare Bones Classic Chicken Broth, or Swanson Natural Goodness Chicken Broth. Products tested, sealed, and safe enough to trust. Number 6. Cocktail shrimp. Aquastar's 6-ounce cocktail shrimp trays look like effortless elegance. Pink curls on ice promising instant party glamour. But in August 2025, they were yanked from Walmart shelves under suspicion of carrying something far more sinister than bacteria. Traces of cesium-137, a radioactive isotope born from nuclear fission. Over 26,000 packages sold in 27 states were recalled after FDA investigators warned they may have been prepared, packed, or held under insanitary conditions. Code for factories where contamination slips through like a shadow. Customs inspections had already flagged shrimp from Aquastar's Indonesian supplier, BMS Foods, with about 68 becquerels per kilogram of cesium, below the federal intervention threshold, but enough to trigger alarm bells when multiplied across millions of servings. What makes this chilling is that radiation doesn't vanish. It lingers, building quietly in bones and organs over years, especially in children, pregnant women, and people with weakened immune systems. This scandal doesn't stand alone. NGOs have long accused Aquastar of opaque supply chains, importing from processors tied to polluted waters, bribery-tainted safety certificates, and hygiene practices so lax that tracking contamination becomes guesswork. The FDA has placed BMS Foods under Import Alert 99-51, effectively blacklisting their shipments until they can prove they aren't smuggling glowing shrimp into America's food chain. Yet Walmart stocked the trays anyway, wrapped in cheerful red and white labels like radioactive party favors. For older Americans on fixed incomes who bought them as a treat, discovering they might be feeding their grandkids nuclear fallout was like being told the confetti at your birthday party was made of plutonium. For shrimp that won't come with a Geiger counter reading, choose Vital Choice, Wild Shrimp, Blue Harbor Shrimp, or Sea-Pack Frozen Shrimp. Brands with transparent safety audits and zero nuclear aftertaste. Number 7. Salad Kit. Taylor Farms Honey Balsamic Salad Kits promised convenience. Bright greens, crunchy toppings, and sweet vinaigrette neatly packaged for busy shoppers. But in August 2025, they were recalled after a hidden landmine was discovered inside. Packets of Asian sesame ginger dressing slipped into the kits, unlabeled. That mistake smuggled sesame and soy, 2 of the most aggressive allergens, into a product many assumed was safe. The recall spans 25 states, and while no illnesses have yet been reported, for anyone with allergies, this error could trigger anaphylaxis within minutes, a medical emergency that can close a person's throat before they even realize what they've eaten. This misstep doesn't stand alone. Taylor Farms has been repeatedly linked to serious safety controversies, including a 2024 E. coli outbreak from their onions that sickened 49 people and caused 1 death, leading McDonald's and other chains to strip onions from menus. They've also faced lawsuits over romaine lettuce tied to a multi-state E. coli outbreak that hospitalized dozens, with plaintiffs accusing the company of delaying disclosure. FDA inspections have caught biofilm on equipment, dirty knives and aprons, and cracked cutting boards where pathogens thrive. Labor lawsuits have cost them millions for wage theft and discrimination. For older Walmart shoppers trying to eat healthy on tight budgets, this recall shatters trust. Even salads, the symbol of safety, can hide corporate carelessness. To stay safe, try salad kits from Dole, Fresh Express, or Earthbound Farm, or build your own at home with fresh greens and separate dressings you can actually verify. Number 8. Bluebell's Ice Cream. Bluebell's Moo Lenium Crunch looks like pure Americana. Half gallon. Tubs of creamy sweetness, scooped into summer memories. But in August 2025, those cheerful tubs turned into silent traps. Some were filled with Millennium Crunch, but wrapped in chocolate chip cookie dough cartons, which don't list the tree nuts hidden inside. Almonds, walnuts, and pecans slipped past the label completely, setting a deadly ambush for anyone with nut allergies. A single spoonful could trigger anaphylaxis, throat swelling shut, blood pressure crashing, before the eater even finishes their first bite. The recall spans 16 states, and while no one has reported illness yet, doctors warn this kind of allergen mix-up can kill in minutes. This isn't Bluebell's first brush with disaster. In 2015, a listeriosis outbreak from their Broken Arrow, Oklahoma plant sickened multiple people and killed 3 in Kansas, forcing an unprecedented company-wide shutdown. Federal investigators later examined whether executives delayed reporting contamination, and Bluebell's facilities have since repeatedly tested positive for environmental listeria, prompting periodic recalls. Watchdog groups still cite Bluebell as an example of how systemic sanitation failures can fester inside frozen dessert plants, where bacteria survive long enough to outlast public memory. For older shoppers on tight budgets who trust iconic brands like Bluebell as safe indulgences, this recall is chilling. Even comfort food can carry concealed threats when quality controls fail. To stay safe, try Haagen-Dazs, Tillamook, or Alden's organic ice cream. Brands that publish allergen controls and safety audits so your dessert doesn't double as a medical emergency. Number 9. Paletas Ice Cream. Tropical Foods, Helados Mexico, and La Michoacana frozen treats look like pure summertime joy. Bright fruit bars and creamy paletas stacked in Walmart's freezers. But in July 2025, they were recalled nationwide for a deceptively simple yet deadly flaw. They contained cream but never declared milk on the label. That single missing word turned hundreds of flavors and formats: coconut, strawberry, bubblegum, cookies and cream, mango, into potential triggers for life-threatening anaphylaxis in people with milk allergies. Best By dates stretch deep into 2027, meaning thousands of mislabeled bars are likely still lurking in home freezers, waiting to ambush the wrong person with one careless bite. One illness has already been reported, and experts warn that milk is one of the top allergens linked to fatal allergic reactions in U.S. children. The error also pulls back the curtain on deeper cracks at Tropical Foods. While not known for massive outbreaks, the company has long been flagged by watchdogs for slow adoption of strict allergen controls, especially on small items like mini paletas where packaging shifts often outpace audits. This failure, listing cream but not milk, shows how even basic labeling laws were misread or ignored. Regulators and advocacy groups stress that such lapses are not harmless. They can turn an everyday dessert into a hidden weapon against vulnerable kids. For safer frozen treats, look to Ben & Jerry's, Tillamook, or So Delicious, plant-based. Brands that clearly label allergens so contains milk isn't left to guesswork. Number 10. Chicken Sausage. Cayenne's all-natural al fresco sweet apple with Vermont maple. Chicken sausages were meant to feel wholesome, ready-to-eat links promising artisanal charm in tidy 11-ounce packs. But in July 2025, they were recalled after 3 consumers bit into something no ingredient list ever warned about: sharp, white, plastic shards. Over 24,000 pounds of these sausages, sold at Walmart and other retailers across 28 states, are now flagged as choking hazards and potential internal injury risks. Because they're fully cooked, many shoppers might eat them straight from the pack, never suspecting each bite could hide fragments stiff enough to shred throats or puncture intestines. FSIS warns consumers to discard or return any Lot 179 packages marked Use Freeze by October 1st, 2025. This recall isn't an isolated fluke. It highlights cracks that have dogged Cayenne and similar processed meat brands for years. Cayenne has previously pulled products for contamination with foreign matter like metal or plastic, the kind of failure that happens when machinery breaks down and oversight lags behind production quotas. Consumer groups have also challenged Cayenne and peers over all-natural claims that obscure additives or heavy processing, while health experts link frequent processed sausage intake to higher rates of cancer, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. Even when not recalled, shoppers have reported swollen or leaking Cayenne packages, hinting at lapses in safety or shelf stability. For older shoppers trying to stretch grocery budgets, this shows how ready to eat can quietly mean ready to harm. Safer choices include Applegate Naturals, chicken sausage, Adel's chicken and apple sausage, or Bell & Evans natural sausage, brands with stricter quality audits and fewer hidden hazards. Number 11. Peanut Crackers. Ritz peanut butter cracker sandwiches were supposed to be the safest kind of predictable, neatly wrapped snacks that parents toss into lunchboxes without a second thought. But in July 2025, Mondelez Global recalled thousands of cartons after discovering a deadly bait and switch. Some inner packs labeled cheese actually contained peanut butter. The outer boxes warned contains peanuts. But anyone trusting the inner label could bite into a peanut-filled cracker thinking it was cheese, and for people with peanut allergies, that mistake could stop a heartbeat. Best buy dates stretch from November 2025 through January 2026, meaning these ticking hazards are likely still stashed in pantries across the country. One slip could trigger anaphylaxis in seconds, swelling airways shut before the eater even realizes what's happening. This isn't Mondelez's first stumble. The company has faced lawsuits over deceptive real cheese claims on Ritz Bits, and its snack lines have repeatedly been recalled for undeclared allergens, foreign material contamination, and mislabeling errors. Critics say the brand hides behind its iconic image while cutting corners on quality control. For older shoppers on tight budgets who buy RITZ to feed kids safely, that betrayal cuts deep. To avoid risk, try Back to Nature. Peanut butter sandwich cookies, Justin's peanut butter snacks, or Enjoy Life sunflower butter cookies. Brands that actually label what's inside instead of gambling with people's lives. Number 12. Dried fruit. Members Mark freeze-dried fruit variety packs were marketed as the perfect guilt-free snack. Bright slices of strawberries, bananas, and apples that seem immune to spoilage. But in July 2025, they were recalled from Sam's Club stores in 43 states after tests found potential contamination with Listeria monocytogenes. The boxes, UPC 1939685090002, carry use-by dates stretching into mid-2027, meaning millions of pouches could still be hidden in pantries. Listeria can lurk invisibly on dry foods and still sicken or kill, especially pregnant women, infants, elderly, or anyone with a weakened immune system. Because these snacks are eaten straight from the pouch, there's no cooking step to kill bacteria. One handful meant for a toddler could carry the same bacteria that causes stillbirths. This recall also exposes a pattern. Members Mark, Sam's Club's private label, has repeatedly been linked to undeclared allergen recalls, mislabeling errors, and class action complaints over unsafe or inaccurately marketed products. Watchdogs warn that private label brands often operate with thinner oversight than national competitors, which lets small contaminations slip past audits until products reach millions of homes. Even the company's Made Without campaign, banning artificial dyes and preservatives, was launched under pressure after years of criticism about ingredient safety. For safer snacks, choose Crunchies. Freeze-dried, Bear Fruit, or Brothers All Natural. Brands that publish microbial tests and traceability data instead of rolling the dice on your family's health. Before the next bite betrays you, uncover the hidden truths. Subscribe now and protect what's left of your trust.
Thanks a lot for sticking with us to the very end. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any daily uploads. And now, go ahead and explore some of our top recommended videos popping up on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.